Well, hello everyone. It is now April the 21st, which means it is Candy's Short Guide to Learning. Today, we're going to talk all about expanding your skills. If you're curious about what we've been doing with Candy's Short Guides to Learning, over the last 2.5 years, we've been doing these online workshops that are really geared for anybody planning or promoting their own events. And that includes you. If you are an office administrator, if you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, somebody that plans or promotes events for your business, organization, or group, these guides are for you. They're meant to be fast and fun. We are right now in the middle of a 3-part series. So this Short Guides to Learning today is all about expanding your skills, not just about new skills. We're talking about brushing off some of those skills that we've had in the past. But if you have been planning over this last year and even executing on your events, chances are pretty good that you have been pivoting, shifting, learning new skills, moving events online, and really trying to understand what does that mean, not just for you and your planning team, but how are your customers, your donors, your community members actually adapting to that? I know we're all a little bit zoomed out. This is on Zoom again. I'm thankful for Zoom, but it is hard sometimes for us to keep people engaged, coming back over and over again when we're not able to see each other. And what I'm excited about is we're going to start to see more in-person events opening up. But more than that, we're all learning how to actually do both. So accessibility is so important here at Candy, where really what we do should be and could be accessible to anybody. So I encourage you, as you look through the booklet today, as we talk through this topic of expanding your skills in your planning, what does that actually look like for you to move forward and to understand better how to actually dust off your skills, to learn new skills, and to apply those skills. And really, why does that matter so much for us to be doing this work? So we're going to start right off the top. I'm going to show you the booklet that you can download. The link will be in the description below. For those of you that are listening in here, it'll be in the chat. I will just share my screen here really quick so that you can actually take a look at it. All right, so once you've got that booklet open, you can follow along. And I say here, hey, Candy, I've been feeling stuck and I'm lacking focus and motivation in my planning. What I was doing in the past isn't working anymore. Well, not in the same way. How can I start to expand my skills? So I want to start out with something that I actually have put together in the last few months here when I've been really recognizing my work as a connection strategy coach. Why does that matter to the world? And I say here, even with over 30 years of event planning joys and hard knocks and 13 years since founding Candy Event Consulting, I still believe it's possible to live in this world where impact-driven, everyday, in-house, do-it-yourself event planners like you really start to embrace their brilliance, activate their experience, and cultivate meaningful connections with corporate teams, clients, customers, community. A big part of this is activating your experience. But in order to do that, we need to learn, what does it actually mean to use your experience and to apply it to the planning work that you're doing today? So I say at the bottom here, expanding your skills starts with activating your experience. So let's get started. I'm going to walk through this with you. I will stop sharing my screen. You're welcome to walk through this with me by downloading. I'm going to stop sharing there. So we're going to talk about kind of the steps. So I'm all about process. So we're going to talk about the steps in this process of how you can expand your skills. So to start, we talk about our event. So our event is, what am I planning or preparing for? So what is that thing that you have put in motion? What is that event that your company is trying to pull off? What is that team building experience that you're putting together? Maybe if you're a nonprofit, you are excited about things opening up again, having an in-person event. What are you actually preparing for? So that's the first part of this. Now we get into, where do we feel that we're stuck? So I call this a problem. And for those of you that have been watching us over the last, it would have been the last year or so, the last issue of Moments magazine that I published was the climb issue. And when I talked to my climbing friends, and I actually did some bouldering with one of our contributors to the magazine, And what was very interesting to me is as you're trying to find the holds and climb up the wall, they call these routes, or as you're climbing, these are problems to solve. And it's not meant to be something that, oh, now I've got a problem to solve, or oh my goodness, there's something terrible happening. It is just part of life. It's just part of the climb. It's just part of what we apply our skills and our experience to, are these problems and moving through and climbing higher. So when I talk about my problem here, what new task do I need to accomplish? So this might be something in our planning world. I have been planning for a long time. Like I said, it's been over 30 years. I sometimes joke that I have been planning since I've just, entered the world. I was with a family, born into a family that was very involved in the community, a lot of events that we were working on. So this idea of having a problem or some kind of task that I need to accomplish, if you've heard it maybe more in the entrepreneur world, say yes and figure it out. Or some people say, build your wings on the way down. So what task is it that you have said yes to, or that has been part now of your planning process, that you're feeling like maybe I actually don't have the skills to accomplish it? So I'm encouraging you here, get clear about the problem, get clear about what it is that you are trying to solve. And from that point, we will be able to move forward and apply either old skills, dusted off skills, maybe some skills that we have now mastered or remastered, or maybe they are new skills that we need to acquire. So once we get past understanding our problem, we go to I know. So when we hold in our power, when we understand what it is that we know to be true. So what is it in your planning experience? Now, this doesn't mean that, well, now you're planning a gala, but I've never planned a gala before. We're talking about experience that you have maybe in your administrative work, maybe in your volunteer work, maybe you have sat on a committee and there has been something that you have pulled from or could pull from in the future to say, it looks a little bit like this. And I know this solution to be true, or this process to work, because I've experienced it in another environment. So when we're talking about what do you know to be true from your own experience, it's really taking a look and honoring what you were really coming to the table with, what you've done before, the things that have been important to you. Some of those projects that you have muscled through or you have worked through are also great resources for us. So what do you know to be true from your own experience? So we need to get clear about those things and be ready to pull them out when we need to. It doesn't mean that it's going to apply as is. That's really important. It is about pulling in your experience and saying, this is what I have personally to work with. This is also the beauty of teams, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The beauty of teams is that we can say, this is what I have to work with. What are you going to put on the table with your experience? So the next step here is I need. So what do you need? What do I need to know or learn to move forward? So I have to recognize my shortcomings. It doesn't mean that I can't do the job. It doesn't mean that I'm incompetent. It doesn't mean that I wasn't built for this role, whatever it is, or that I shouldn't be on this planning team or planning this event or campaign. What it means is I recognize that there are some things that I don't know, or there's some gaps that need to be filled, or maybe there's something in this process that I've never had to do before, and I might feel a little bit maybe scared, maybe a little bit you want to hold back, maybe you want someone else to take it. I've heard that a lot in some coaching sessions where it's like, I think I just need someone else to do this job because I have zero idea. I don't know what I don't know. So when we talk about really what do I need to learn, or where do I need to lean in, so that I can move forward. It really is getting clear on where is the gap for me. And I used to joke with my mom. We all go through all sorts of things and stories in our lives. And what I used to say to my mom is that I would actually find a book. I'd go to chapters or I'd find something online. And as I was going through this challenge, almost like the answer was showing up for me when I was really aware of where my gap was, or where I didn't know something, or I needed to learn something. All of a sudden, somehow, there was a title that spoke to my challenge. There was something that was in front of me that I could read the book. I could understand a bit more. I could talk to somebody. Somebody mentioned something, and I explore that. I go down that rabbit hole a little bit so that I'm really understanding what it is. It's actually made me a big fan of research as well. So when we talk about what do I need to know or to learn moving forward, that is the first step to actually finding the solution. So the solution here is what or who exists in my world to help me reach my goal. So there will always be, maybe it is a book at chapters. Maybe there is somebody in your life that you know that has done something very similar. If you're planning an event that might be in another country, let's say, maybe there are groups in that region that would know how do you support the team? How do you build an event? How do you actually plan something in a way that you don't even maybe understand the language? So there are so many ways that we can lean in and learn more. And then what exists currently in your world? It's amazing the information we have access to, the people that have resources that maybe we've never tapped into. We've never had that conversation or needed to, but now you need to. So what exists in my world to help me reach my goal? So important to see where the solutions could lie. Then we want to measure where it is that we're growing, we're learning, and we're actually expanding our skills. So if you are finding ways where you can actually expand, so knowing what your skills are, I love the exercise of actually writing down where you feel like you've accomplished things that you're really proud of, those things in your life or your planning work where you've said, I just knocked that right out of the park. It was amazing. Or I learned something and we navigated through and we made the thing happen, whatever it was. So really understanding what are your skills. Then there are some skills. There are some things we have to let go. And I've been maybe nostalgic over the last couple of months, but this idea of some things have to go. There are some things we will never use again. There are certain computer programs that don't exist anymore. There are some things that just won't apply, but we can learn. Maybe we've learned something about process. Maybe we've learned something about maybe planning teams or understanding teams, and it just needs to be dusted off and applied in a new way here. And expanding those skills is saying, how do we, and a great example for many of us that we're doing many in-person workshops, in-person events, where we had to expand our skills and say, okay, I love being in front of a group that's ready to learn. I love having the dialogue. I love having more back and forth in a room where I can see people, feel the energy of the room. Expanding my skills back then at the beginning of the lockdowns was really about how do I continue to feed into the community of event planners that really are needing support and really wanting to have that time together. But expanding my skills maybe on the tech side, maybe expanding my skills where now I'm actually presenting more than asking questions. I'm so excited about getting back into person where we can have more back and forth in the workshops that we do. But I'm so inspired by the people that have been able to not just pivot, because I believe that we're not just here to pivot, we're here to reinvent. What does it mean to plan events moving forward? What does it mean to invest our experience, to reinvest the things that we do well, and then really not just dust off, but find new ways to do the work and to actually have more fun doing that work, be more confident in our work. So what exists, who exists in my world to help me reach my goal, to help me learn that task, to help me have that conversation I need to have with my team member? This measuring and celebrating that I was just talking about, measuring and celebrating our abilities. When we start to claim those abilities as part of what we have in our toolbox, that's where we can start moving into using them in various different situations. So the cool thing about measurement is not just that we have all our numbers or we have the data to prove that this is worth it. What I'm excited about when I talk about measurement, it's like it gives us evidence to keep going. It gives us the encouragement that if we have read that book, talked to that person, that we've dusted off that skill or we're expanding and it's working, all of a sudden the measurement becomes a way for us to actually increase the work that we're doing to get better. And actually, like a bike, when we're riding a bike or learning that new skill, when we start to just take it on, it feels much more natural. It feels like something we could apply in a bunch of places because we have used it, it has worked, we have tweaked, maybe we have learned a bit better, we've got better equipment, whatever that is, that now we say that we're rolling with this. So exciting when that starts happening. To celebrate our new abilities, this is really important for us. So this is not just saying, oh, I did that really well and I really knocked that one out of the park, but it's also about celebrating with the community that helped make this happen. So earlier, if you remember, we talked about who is in our world that can help us accomplish or reach this goal, learn this task, whatever it is. If we can step back and say, it isn't just about me. It isn't just, yes, it takes the courage to step forward. Yes, we have to apply those skills and we have to do it over and over and over again, create that competency and confidence in that. But it's so important for us to celebrate with our communities. We are not islands when we're planning, we're part of a wider team. And if people are supporting you, helping you, let them know what you have done with that building of that skill or with that, once you've learned how to do that task, let them know how exciting it is to actually now be able to do it with confidence and celebrate with your community. The last one here is maximize. I had an executive once that talked about everything had to be maximized. And in some ways, it feels like, oh my gosh, like, can't we just celebrate and enjoy the moment, which is part of it. But I completely understand what he was trying to say. We want to be really great stewards of our money and our time and our resources and our team's effort. How do we start to expand the skills and maximize what we've learned so that we're able to move forward with confidence and competence, but maximizing has all sorts of great, there are all sorts of great benefits to maximizing what we do. So we'll work smarter, faster, we'll have more results, we'll bring more people into the fold, into your community. You'll have probably clients, or if you're a nonprofit, you'll have your volunteers wanting to feed in, support the work that you're doing. When we're maximizing, there's some energy around that because it's really about concentrated effort that is now moving not just quickly, but in a way that is more efficient, that you're able to get more done. And when we start to add our new skills in other areas of planning or promotion or whatever it is that you're putting together, we start to see that that actually benefits your team. It benefits you. You feel like the bike analogy, you feel like you're just now moving. You've come into a rhythm where you're able to understand how that skill, that task, the new thing that you've learned, where you're able to expand your skills, but then you're applying them in multiple ways. And the amazing thing is you start to train others to do the same. So when we're talking about maximizing, it's just not about our capacity. I believe that we just only use a teeny bit of our capacity in our work, in our worlds, that we can always maximize what we're doing, gain more exposure to things. We can be learning more, and really that is endless. The cool thing is when we start to bring others into this circle of learning, this circle of expanding skills, where they might want to learn something. They might want to bring something to the table. They're like, this is my gap. And you're able to say, you know what, I do that really well, or I've experienced that in the past, and this is how we could maybe adjust and tweak. and apply it to something that you're working on now. So expanding your skills is so important, not just for you, but for your team. When we're maximizing really the work that we're doing here, we're building more capacity. For many of the social venture organizations I work with the nonprofit organizations, and even with entrepreneurs that are working really hard, wearing a lot of hats, it's so important that we really build capacity to grow, to scale. So 3 quick steps here before I wrap up. If you have any comments on what I just talked about in expanding your skills, I would love to hear them. I'd love to hear how you have been able to expand your skills and even share those things to inspire others here on our social media, on our YouTube channel. So 3 steps here. I'm going to just share my screen one more time here so that you can take a peek at the steps. In this discussion today, what we're talking about in expanding your skills is step 1, honor what you know. So when we honor what we know, it's really important for us, like I said earlier, to get clear. So use this as a bit of a template. You can journal with this if you want to, but I know, and list something that you know to be true, that you do well, something that you have experienced that you can bring into the task. I know that I am able to be calm in a crisis. And honoring what I know, I can be calm in a crisis because I know that the end result is what really matters. I know that we are trying to raise funds. I know that we're trying to launch this product. What I have experienced in the past, that thing that I know to be true, will help us because of this, because we are trying to reach some kind of goal. And it can help me. Staying calm in crisis is my example. It can help me because I know that I've got this. I know that even if I don't know every step I'm going to be faced when I'm planning this particular event, my calm can help me so that I'm leaning in, helping others stay calm, finding solutions better, whatever it is that you have experienced, and really get specific. So maybe there are things that in my world have caused me to have to slow down, calm down, really allow myself to step in and support myself and others to get the job done, or especially if you're on site at an event. And really what I know to be true is I can be there. How can I apply that? So this step 2, honing new skills, new to you skills. These are things that aren't, new to the world. But when we talk about new to you skills, so I will, in step 2, maybe I will become more assertive. Maybe I'm calm naturally, but I will become more assertive in really understanding in the moment why being calm matters. What kind of maybe information do I need so that this event goes well? The because here is, why do I need to hone new to me skills? Because if I'm trying to reach a goal, sometimes, and this is the definition of insanity, they say, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if I'm learning new skills, how to be, in the case of our workshops, how to be online and presenting on Zoom like I am doing today, as opposed to in a workshop with people, really rubbing shoulders and having that dialogue. I believe that our new to me or new to you skills can be put into motion because what you're trying to accomplish really matters. Let's say in step 2, a new to me skill in the past might have been being more assertive, being calm, but adding this assertiveness. It will help me to lead a team, to be confident in leading that team, to really giving me the skills that I need to actually get more work done, to get to the goal faster, to bring others with me and celebrate, I think, in a more community-focused kind of way, if I'm really stepping in to be that leader. So step 3, have the courage to apply. So applying what you know, applying your new to you skills. Maybe you've dusted off a skill that you want to try again and reinvent. I was joking the other day about QR codes and how they used to be a thing years ago. And then it just kind of became a joke because it was just a flash in the pan. It was something that really didn't stick. And now all of a sudden they're everywhere and it almost has become an essential part of what we do. The funny thing is, when we talk about this new to you skills, dusting off and using your skills in a new way, we need to have the courage to apply it. I have. And so your statements here in step 3 are really about how do we now look at what we have learned and how do we explain that to somebody else, that I have now come into a place where I am showing up at an event calm and assertive and ready to lead. So to having the courage to apply these new skills, I have what I need to actually do the work. And it matters because, again, we're actually moving forward and maybe creating more events like this, doing it again, training a new team, really having the ability now in the application to even tweak and change. And when we talked about measurement, part of that measurement isn't just so that we can celebrate, the great win. It also is what went right, what went wrong, maybe some of those things that do need to be changed along the way, making edits along the way. It's so important for us to apply because we are able to then adjust it so that it works well in the environments where we're working. And it has helped me. Applying what I've learned has helped me to actually step in, to lead a team, in my work, to work with clients, knowing that I have them, knowing that in the calm, assertive, connected way that I show up, it will help them in the work that they're doing. So when you're talking through these 3 steps for yourself, journaling about them, really, you could work through these with your team, honoring what you know as a team, honing new skills that you might not have used as a team, and then having this courage to apply them to your work. At the end of the day, what's so important in all of this is knowing that we have the confidence to move forward. And a good friend of mine talked a lot about this confidence, competence loop. So I want to end there just to talk about how, as we start applying some of these things we're learning, we actually gain the confidence to try them again, to make adjustments, to have this ability to move them back, try something new, adapt what we've learned, and then have a competence in something new. So this confidence competence loop that he would talk about is so important in the work I do, because sometimes we face a challenge, or there's something we don't know how to do, or we don't have that skill. We feel like we don't have that skill. If we actually don't get moving, really get in motion and start doing this work, really honoring what we know, honing the new to us skills, or brushing off those skills and reinventing them, and having this courage to apply them, we never will get to that confidence part of that loop. Because if we haven't got that competence, and that comes through experience, we don't have to know everything about everything to really understand how do we move forward, how do we really get the job done, how do we learn that task. But we need to know the steps. We need to know how do we start moving into a place where we can now expand our skills and do the work faster, more efficiently, and have more fun doing it. So thank you for listening in today. Take a look at the booklet. You can download it, do a little bit of that homework, reach out to me if there is anything that you would like to know. Anyone that is listening to this, if you are interested in a follow-up session to talk about how does this actually apply, or how you could apply your skills in your planning work, reach out. There are some discounted sessions, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 90 minutes. And I would love to have this discussion with you and actually see that you can maximize the work that you're doing and learn to expand your skills in your planning. Happy planning. We'll talk to you again soon.